Well, this is the second part of evil. Why we perceive things as evil. What's evil? Well, everything has to do with the society way of seeing life situations. This has to do a lot with our knowledge, with the regular knowledge that we have. Let's say it has to do with our ego, with the shadow, with the it's ego, the shadow. Ever since we were born, ever since the first second of our life, imagine you're a baby, you're 9 months in the womb, you're in the womb being fed, being loved, being protected. You have nothing to worry about. You're like in a safe environment of love. And 9 months later, you're pushed away. You're pushed into this world. And we all have our five senses. We never used them before. It's the first time that we're gonna use them. So the baby feels all these feelings at once. He never experienced this thing before. So he gets in shock because he hears, sees, perceives, and feels all these vibrations, voices, feels temperatures, all of these things. So the baby is going through a overload of feelings at once. And in the ideal environment, going through the emotions, going through the feelings, going through the experience will be the ideal. Like all these feelings at once, and like having the excitement, and the baby will be like, oh my gosh, what is this? All of these things that he's perceiving right there. A lot of chemicals are being produced inside of his little body. A lot of hormones of stress and are produced at that moment like crazy, like this crazy waterfall of chemicals all over his body. Most of them are like cortisol, the hormone of stress. So he feels like overwhelmed by all these feelings and stuff. But imagine if we allowed the baby to go through the experience. We just put him on the cradle, and he'll be like screaming and feeling and crying, and he'll be like confused and all of these things. Like only God knows what he's feeling. But imagine that if he actually goes through the whole thing, and all of a sudden he like starts like realizing that it's okay to experience these feelings and all of these things happening at once. That it's okay to experience his own feelings, his own emotions. All of a sudden he starts realizing that nobody's gonna hurt him. He's safe, and that's it. The experience is the shock pass, and it's like, oh my God, that was a crazy experience. Kind of like when we go for the first time into a roller coaster. It's crazy. But then once we go through it, we jump into the roller coaster again, and we don't feel the same. It's almost like we lost the fear. So if the baby goes through these experiences, he wouldn't have any fears about his own emotions, because he knows that it's okay and he's not gonna lose the arm or anything, because it's just something that naturally happens in response to the overload of senses. And it's normal, it's natural. But no, we don't do that. That would be in the ideal world. allowing the baby to go through the emotion, through the experience. So then it will generate a conscious that it's okay to experience his own feelings, and that it'll be okay for him to go through any life situation that would make them feel whatever. But no, well, at least in this country, in the Occidental world, we don't allow our babies to do that. Because as soon as they come into the world, the doctor wraps them in a blanket and he puts the baby on his mother's chest. So the baby starts recognizing the heartbeating of his mom, the one that he's so familiar with, because he's been inside of this lady for 9 months. So he even recognizes the voice. So when the mom grabs the baby, the first thing that comes out of her mouth is like, "Oh, my baby, I'm gonna protect you, I'm gonna take care of you, mommy's here." So the baby's like, "Okay, I recognize this voice and this heart beating, the smell, the energy." So chemicals are getting crazy again in his little body, but this time are chemicals of "I feel good," endorphins, that they release serotonin and dopamine. Scientists say that these are chemicals that our body produces when we start feeling higher frequencies. Higher frequencies of electricity happening inside of our bodies stimulate the release of these chemicals. And so these higher frequencies are generated inside of your body, and they make you feel good. But okay, you're a baby, you're experiencing them for the first time, and you feel so amazing, like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful." But then the problem is that because the person that is next to you, your mother, is the one that is talking to you and hugging you and making you comfortable, as much comfortable as she can, all these things that are happening inside of you, you're blaming this person that you call mother for the way you feel. That's when your mind gets confused, and it's like, okay, so I need this person so then I can feel like this. Now you don't know that you are capable of feeling like that for your own self. And so then you grow up year after year believing that you need this mom or this motherly figure for you to be okay. So when you cry, what's the first thing that a baby does? Walks towards mom with the arms wide open. He wants that hug from mom because he believes she is the source of his "I feel good" feelings, emotions, and everything. He ignores that he actually has the power of feeling good by himself. But of course, the experience is being stolen from him since birth. So now he blames someone else for the way he feels. And when mom is not happy about the things that he does, she screams at him, and he feels a different kind of chemicals, like higher, like lower, more coarse electric frequencies happening inside of his body, the ones that stimulate stress hormones to be released. And so he's like, "What is this? I don't like this." And that's the woman that I blame, or that's my father that I blame, or that's my neighbor, my brother, my cousin, my whoever it is around you that makes you feel that way. You blame those people for the way you feel, because that's the thing that you believe it is true based on the experience of birth. You see, you're not capable of recognizing feelings of your own. So you blame your entire life a third party for the way you feel. So that's why when someone comes and screams at you in a mean way, you start screaming at them the same way, because in your mind it's like, if I feel this way, he can feel that way too. So I'm gonna scream back at him. And he doesn't stop. He keeps screaming at you. You keep screaming at him. And then you believe that this person that is screaming at you is the source of your feelings. Those feelings that you don't know how to make them stop. And because this person is just like screaming at you like crazy, because you're screaming at it back, you're screaming at him or her. It's like a back and forth of electric frequencies. These frequencies also are radio waves, and so we're like antennas and radios at the same time. We receive and we transmit. So when someone is releasing this charge of electric frequencies, we feel them, and they touch density inside of us. So this density is always along with life memories, like the memory that when you were 5 or 4 or 3 and your mom smacked you on the face because you did something naughty, and it made you feel these frequencies. So you store the knowledge of these frequencies inside of you, but you also store them with a negative action. So that's why we go through life storing all these electric frequencies inside of our invisible library, or ego, or shadow. So we go through our life carrying all this knowledge, right? And so when someone screams at you, he's releasing these frequencies, and you capture these frequencies too. So that's when the frequency of other people bothers you too. It's kind of like when someone walks into a room and he walks all happy, all pumped up because he's happy, and everybody starts feeling good about it, and everybody's just wants to stay next to this person because he's just like happy. You feel the energy. He doesn't even have to talk, but he has good vibes, good energy. We're perceiving the energy, the electric frequencies, the radio electric frequencies. So then, if someone walks in and he doesn't experience happy that often, so it's gonna feel kind of a miserable or something like that. He'll feel kind of awkward because he's the kind of person that he never received love, and he never had friends. He never actually experienced higher frequencies that often. So when he perceives them and he sees them in other people, he doesn't know what to do with them, and he wants to make them stop because he doesn't have those in his life. It's like when you want to try to hug someone, they get like, oh, don't hug me. Like when you want to kiss someone, like when you meet someone for the first time, you want to hug them. In my country, in Mexico, we do that, and we kiss them. I mean, a man, when he first meets a woman, at least in the city, Mexico City, we hug them and we kiss them in the cheek. We kiss each other in the cheek. That's pretty normal. So I'm so used to do that kind of stuff. But if you go to other states, they don't do that. So when you try to hug them and kiss them, they're like, what are you doing? It's like that. So we perceive electric frequencies based on the things that we do. So again, if someone makes you someone is like screaming at you and makes you feel his low frequencies, you're not gonna like those because you don't know what to do with them. You just want to make them stop. So you pull the gun and you kill this person, bah, 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 bah. And then he stop screaming at you. Then you just kill him. Then you realize what you just did. You did something evil. Well, you see, the root of this behavior comes from birth. From you being snatched out of your own experience of your own feelings, experiencing your own self. So we don't know how to experience ourselves. We don't know how to love ourselves, because every time a feeling comes, either high or low frequency of electricity, we don't know what to do with it. We just want this thing to stop, or we blame someone else that is there, that is making us feel that way. It's not actually making us feel that way. It's just that he's doing an action that we recognize as something either positive or negative. And so we recreate electric frequencies based on our knowledge of our past experiences. So if you experience ice cream, chocolate in a funny way, you're gonna love chocolate ice cream. But if someone gave you a chocolate ice cream with a slap in the head, you're gonna remember chocolate ice cream with a different way. Everything is based on our memory. So the root of evil is the inability of humans to recognize their own emotions. So the emotional wisdom is the one that turns everything into good. Or like the ancient people. This is way before the Christianity even existed, like the modern Christianity. Because Christians, they've been around for like thousands of years. In modern times, they've been telling us that Christianity has 2,000 years since Jesus Christ came, and they wrote the New Testament 300 years later. Can you imagine 300 years later? Somebody saw Jesus, and all of a sudden 300 years later they decided to write a book about him. So that's the Bible. Imagine if I go through an experience and I tell you my experience a week later. It's not gonna be even remotely the same. And then my friend tells my experience to another friend, to another friend, to another friend. At the end, it's gonna turn into a totally different story, like not even close, probably, like, you know, kind of like that. So what we can expect from a 300-year later story about a person that came teaching stuff, much less 8,000 years that they say that the Old Testament has been written, and that they found that in the Syrian civilization they have similar stories, like the flood, like giants, like a person almost like Jesus. They have stories similar to the ones in the Bible from 8 to 10 to 12,000 years ago. So it seems like the Bible was taken out of these stories that they've been circulating all over the world from the ancient times. So a lot of people today base their life around this book. It's not that funny. A book that you don't even know if is actually true. Because in the last 100 years, the Bible, I went on Google and you type how many times the Bible's been edited. More than 2,000 times. Every religion has their own version of the Bible. There's a website, it's called the Bible Hub. And if I was trying to look it up, some verse of the Bible, and it came out like in 17 different versions, because it was written in 17 different Bibles through the times. That was just in the last 100 years. Yes. So they have different interpretations about things. character to blame for something that we don't see, because nobody can actually explain how it is that people do the things that they do. But we do it because of the thing that I was telling you about birth. We don't want to perceive disturbances in our feelings. We're so used to feel just higher frequencies. You know, love, the hug, the compliment, the kiss, handshake and smile. All of those things, we have a registry in our mind that when we go through one of those experiences, we're supposed to smile. We're supposed to feel good. So our brain tells the body to release I feel good hormones, and that's how I feel. And again, somebody told us in our mind that when we receive low frequency radio waves, which they come in the shape of someone killing someone, someone punching someone, someone screaming at someone, you know, like cursing, things like that, things that they touch our emotional memories. I guess the best way of calling these things will be our electric frequency memories. Like the radio, you move the radio thingy and it takes different songs, different genres of music. We're the same. We store all these frequencies inside of us. And so if the frequency of the ice cream that my mom slapped me in the face because I smeared chocolate on my brand new t-shirt that she washed a day before, that's why she slapped me in the head while I was eating my chocolate ice cream and stained my t-shirt. You know, I perceived it as something, a low frequency, and associated this low frequency with the situation that I was going through. So this is how our mind works. We have 4 different bodies inside of us. Like the physical body is the one that we all see. We have the energetical body, which is the energy that moves us. We have the emotional body, which is the one that generates all these emotions. And the mind is another body. It's the one that is being fed with all this trash knowledge, as I call it. You know, and also we have the conscious, which is the 5th. Now I remember there's 5 bodies. Your conscious is the one that is been storing knowledge through lifetimes. Every time we go into a life, we have this life full of experiences, and so we store all of these electric frequencies inside of the soul, and your conscious just grows and grows and grows and keeps growing. Your conscious expands every time that you go through a new life experience. So that's pretty much evil. Evil exists because we decided to make it exist. But what if when my mom slapped me on the head, instead of me being like, oh, this is wrong, I'll be like, oh, okay, my bad, I wasn't putting attention, and I know that you worked too much dressing me up for this and washing my clothes the day before, so I'm gonna be okay with the slap in the head that you just gave me, and because I know where you're coming from. I'm sorry, Mom. won't do it again. And then you saw that as a life learning experience, as something that it was there happening for you to experience your own self, your own emotions. That would be the ideal scenario, where you'll be capable of loving your own feelings and experiencing your own electric frequencies happening, because you knew that they were only energy happening in your body. You'll be allowing these electric frequencies to run through your whole body, allowing your conscious to experiencing your own power, your own feelings. Well, we don't have this knowledge, so we just go through our life blaming somebody else for the way we feel, trying to find guilties for these feelings. But in reality, nobody hurts us. Never, nobody even hurt us at all. It was just everything part of our own little fantasy created by our mind. And so we suffer because we choose to. You see? I have this question so many times, and sometimes people say, why people kill? That gives me an idea. Why people rape? Maybe this guy that raped someone, he was raped, or he was being rejected by women, and the only way that he could, I guess, enforce his power, it was to someone weaker than him. So everything comes from childhood, from abuse, from negative experiences. But they weren't, they weren't negative. It was just that we perceived them as something that it was there to hurt us, instead of us using our knowledge and choose to see them as a life learning experience. So then we can transform this thing. Electric frequencies that they flow through our body, they have a name, and it's called Christic energy. Yes. Once you perceive the low frequency energy, you can allow your body to feel it and to perceive it and to turn into part of your conscious. And once it becomes part of your conscious, that is the so famous Christic energy. So that's the famous coming of Christ. When the fight between good and evil happens inside of this thing, your knowledge, the knowledge that Jesus came to teach us, is that you have to be okay with things happening. Because if somebody hits you here, you have to turn the other one. But it doesn't mean that you have to allow somebody to hit you. It means that you have to allow yourself to experience the feeling of this. It's just energy. And then you turn that energy into Christ. Christic energy. You become one with God, because God is just Christic energy. In fact, God is everything, even the low frequency energy, the so-called evil. But it's not evil. It's actually a higher frequency that we feel it like weird, but then you turn it into good, and then you just won the fight of evil versus good, and then you're just turning evil into good all the time. That's how meditation works. You stay still, the energy comes, your mind translates the energy into a life learning, into a little movie that you went through in the past. You see, your mind, your logical mind is always trying to understand the energy that's happening inside of you. And mostly of the time we allow our logical mind to keep going and keep going and keep trying to run things, when in reality we have the power of doing so. So that's how evil happens. And if you have questions and comments, put them down there. And I hope this video gave you some light. And next video I'm going to talk about how you can turn this energy, negative energy, into good energy. But pretty much I just told you, you know, whenever the energy comes, whenever somebody makes you feel weird, or somebody makes you feel funny, or like makes you feel uncomfortable, remember that those things are just electric frequencies. There's energy happening inside of you, and you just open your conscious and allow yourself to feel them, embrace them, love them, and then they will turn into Christic energy, and then your frequencies will be higher. And instead of you calling these people into your life, you're going to call people with higher frequencies. That's how you turn your life in a heaven. Evil doesn't exist, remember. It exists because you believe so, and because you see evil. But in reality, evil doesn't even exist. That is crazy to think about it like that, but that's the reality. So go and practice it, because now you know, and now you have the knowledge. You've been submerged in the water, and now you came out of the river with a new knowledge that you cannot deny, because now you know that you have the power. And that's what Jesus was doing. That's why he was symbolizing the new you with the baptism. He will give you the knowledge, and then you'll be ready to face whatever it was. And they will put you on the water and will come out serving God. And that's what serves God, turning all this distortion that we have and that we believe that is there to harm us into Christic energy. And then you will become Christ, just like Jesus. That's why they call him the Christ. Christ in the older army means the Son of God. So everybody has this possibility of being the Son of God. I mean, we are, but we don't have the knowledge. And so we suffer a lot. Well, now that you have the knowledge, there's no way for you to suffer. Why would you suffer if you have the knowledge? This is the knowledge that it's been hidden from us since birth, to keep us suffering and to keep us in the wheel of suffering. So go through your life and be happy, because now this is the true message, the message from Yeshua Emmanuel, the real name of Jesus. Peace and love, people, and go and put end to evil. Bye.